It seems to me that political violence is really on an uptick across America, and there are murders on both sides.
So when someone on the left harms someone on the right, it has to do with trans, but when someone on the right harms someone who has on the left, it has to do with something other than trans.
It would seem so.
Are there any instances on the right side of the political spectrum that are pretty much identical on ideological terms?
Welcome. Today we're going to do the claim, trans ideology is largely responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Don't move until I say so. 3, 2, 1, move. Okay. Tell him why you believe that, why you strongly agree.
Two things. When you look at the violence or attacks or the threats on people, it's usually because of this ideology. It's not because you care something about the marginal tax increase or geopolitics. It is this that evokes an emotional response. Number two, he has been very clear that he supports women's rights, and he does not believe that men should be in women's sports, in their locker room, and he even said, and I'll die on the hill for this. And what we see about the background of the gentleman and his boyfriend who killed him, they were subscribing to gender ideology.
Okay, so the bottom line in one sentence for why trans ideology is largely responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk, tell him what it would be.
He strongly was against transgender ideology, not the person, the ideology.
Okay. Not do you agree with the claim, but do you understand it?
Yes.
Okay. Tell her your best argument for why are you on the strongly disagree?
Because it seems to me that political violence is really on an uptick across America, and there are murders on both sides. People have, there was the Democratic lawmakers, I think, from Michigan who were murdered recently by a Republican. A man broke into Nancy Pelosi's house and murdered her husband. No, didn't murder, sorry, hit him with a hammer. So I just feel like violence is increasing exponentially in America, and it's not clear to me that one ideology is responsible for it.
Not do you agree with him, but do you understand?
I understand what he says.
Okay. Is there a flaw in his argument?
Yes, because the trans ideology has come in the offender's life or reasoning why he disliked Charlie Kirk.
Do you want to address that?
I'm not sure I understand it.
Say it again, please.
With all the different political violence, that has been an issue when someone on the right has harmed someone on the left. But when someone on the left has harmed someone on the right, it seems to be one of the factors.
So when someone on the left harms someone on the right, it has to do with trans, but when someone on the right harms someone who has on the left, it has to do with something other than trans.
It would seem so.
That could be true. I don't know the murder statistics. Maybe, yeah.
Is it enough to convince you to move to disagree?
No, because I don't yet know the facts, but if I were to really drill down into murder statistics and that was proven true, probably, yeah.
Okay. Do you understand her argument? Not agree with it, do you understand it?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Repeat it back to her.
Okay, so I think your argument is that when trans people aligned with the ideology commit violence because of the ideology itself, right?
Is that correct?
Yeah, because that would be a motivating factor.
Okay. Do you understand his argument? Not do you agree with it, but do you understand it?
I think I do. I think it has to do with...
Yeah, repeat it back to him, please.
Okay, cool. Generally in America, political violence is increasing. That doesn't have to do with ideology per se.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to ask her any question? What would it take you to move to the slightly agree? So you can ask her any question that you want that you think if answered sufficiently, it would cause you to move one mat over. What would that question be?
Are there any instances on the right side of the political spectrum that are pretty much identical on ideological terms?
Do you understand the question?
Yes, if he means, are there any instances where someone on the right has harmed someone on the left because of the same ideology?
Is that, yeah.
I'm not aware of any.
Can I clarify a little bit?
Yeah, please.
The ideology in what I mean by the same is that it prescribes the same actions for their political opponents, if that makes sense.
But we're speaking specifically about Charlie Kirk.
That was the initial prompt. Trans ideology is largely responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk, and the counter argument was that violence in general in the United States, political violence, is on an upswing. And then your claim to that was, yes, it is on the upswing, but when people on the perceived right or actual right are assassinated, it's because of trans ideology. That's my understanding of the conversation so far.
Well, it's not all the time, but when it is used against people who are against the ideology.
Is that sufficient to cause you to move to slightly agree? Or to move if it is? If not, we're going to have you ask the gentleman on the strongly disagree.
No.
Oh, okay. What question would you like to ask the gentleman?
I would ask you, in terms of people that perpetrate these political crimes, in their motivations, how much of it is mainly due to ideology rather than insanity?
I think they often ideology, extremist ideology, and insanity go hand in hand. But I'd counter that if we didn't have a Second Amendment, if we didn't have a culture of violence, then you could be as insane as you want, and you likely wouldn't be able to snipe Charlie Kirk. So I think that there is, while even if it is the case that in this particular shooter, trans ideology was the reason that he murdered Charlie Kirk, and I don't know if that's true, it would seem that there are so many other things that failed along the way, like allowing him to have a gun or existing in a culture where we murder people we disagree with.
So my question would be, would your opinion change if you found that in the ideology itself, it prescribed specific, that'd be explicit, violent acts against those of the ideology?
Yeah, so if they, for instance, there was a holy book that commanded murder of non-believers or non-whatever people, then yeah, that would change my opinion.
Does anything he say convince you to move either way? Or she said convince you to move either way?
No,
Okay.
don't think so. I don't
Okay.
think so.
I'm going to have you step off, please. And where was my other strongly agree? Could you step up here, sir? I've gendered you.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. You strongly agree, maybe. I know.
Strongly agree.
Okay. What is your best argument for why you're on the strongly agree, Matt? Tell him.
From what we know of the evidence so far, of what we know about the shooter, what was written on the rounds of the bullet, his lifestyle, his apparently ideological differences that changed over time after going to college. There's still a lot we haven't known yet, but so far the evidence is pointing strongly towards Charlie being murdered simply because he wanted to, speak to people that he disagreed with.
But specifically about trans ideology, because that's the claim.
Right. Yeah, I think it will come out that that's exactly, as I said, the evidence points towards he was, had a transgender boyfriend, was very much within that community.
So if the evidence points to it, then the evidence isn't conclusive. And if the evidence isn't conclusive, then why wouldn't the best Matt to be on to be agree?
Because I think, it's inconclusive because there's still more to come. And I just feel that the weight of the evidence weighs heavily on this side.
Okay. Do you want to ask him a question? You have a comment?
What would it take you to move to agree? If we lived in a society with strong gun control, would you still stand there?
Yeah, what would it take for you to move to the agree?
You want me to go even stronger that way when it comes to firearms and the Second Amendment rights?
No, but what would it take you to move to agree from strongly agree?
Well, I don't think guns are the problem. A gun is just, it's a piece of metal that sits on a desk or whatever. It's the person that picks it up and uses it for the nefarious reasons is the problem.
So what would it take you to move? Like what evidence, what reason would you have to hear for you to physically move right now to the agree, Matt?
Concerning Charlie Kirk's murderer?
Correct. Concerning the original claim.
Possibly if he came out and, disavowed that was not the reason why he was murdered.
And then you would move.
Yes. I would move, I would move over, sure.
Okay, and what would it take you to move to the disagree?
maybe a manifesto or something where he says, you know, I came in contact with this ideology and then I decided because of that to murder him. But if I actually had that evidence, I'd be standing where he is, not right here.
Okay. Thoughts on those two positions? Is that a reasonable criterion for a rational, independent, sane person to move?
Yeah. Well, I do think, first of all, I do understand their 2 points. And I want to clarify, I think that the impetus for violence and the justification does come from these woke ideologies, but I don't know if it necessarily comes from trans itself, just trans.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you participating. Thank you. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. Hey, did you know only half of you watching are subscribed? If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button to keep the videos coming. Thanks.